Hey everybody, how's it going? On today's video, we are going to be talking about yet another lit RPG series that I've delved into. This is book one of this lit RPG series. And what series am I talking about? This series is called Demon Card Enforcer. This is by John Stovall, performed by Justin Thomas James, Jeff Hayes, and Tiana Camacho. I do apologize if I mispronounced that. Sorry. This audiobook length is 11 hours and 36 minutes. And if you didn't notice some of the narrators that I mentioned, this is by primarily the sound booth team that has narrated this. So there's going to be some sound effects. There's going to be some awesome narrators set up into this audiobook. And yeah, it's going to just be a great experience. Primarily, Justin Thomas James is like the main voice for, or the voice of the main character. So, what is Demon Card Enforcer? Well, to get a little vague summary, I will have a link to the Audible page, and so you can read the summary from the author down in the description of this video. But my summary is this. Enforcer for a crime family, Wolf. He is, we start out on drop night of the great game because also this is a deck building lit RPG. So there are cards that you can summon in everyday life to help you level, get new cards, gain experience, go and attack dungeons, all to get stronger. But this is like integrating a deck building game into everyday life. So, of course, crime families definitely take advantage of this. And so our main character, Wolf, finds himself on a drop night. Every 10 years, the gods in this universe go ahead and bestow decks to their chosen people, the people they want to give these decks out to. Every 10 years. So we start We start this story on drop night where decks are about to drop and people are about to get cards. People that aren't already deck bearers will become deck bearers, or there will just be new cards flushed into, I'll say, like another season of the game that introduces new cards, abilities, special combinations. It's a very in-depth kind of system, and you learn more about it as you have as you go through the story. But Wolf finds himself on a drop night, making sure the Grimm family is protected. He's been their enforcer for many, many years, and he is the best at what he does. But he is not a deck bearer. And lo and behold, as you probably can maybe guess, just as our story gets started, Wolf becomes a deck bearer. He has been chosen by Cerberus to go ahead and hunt down the infernal deck bearers that he is supposed to take down and get the cards, get a specific card from each one of these players that he's been kind of tasked to go after to get even more power and have more cards to get him even stronger. But there's a lot before he can go ahead and accomplish that mission he's been given by the god Cerberus in this series that has tasked him with that. So yeah, Wolf becomes a deck bearer. He's kind of like, whoa, this is intense. He's always been fighting deck bearers and learning about cards and all that. Now he's been chosen on a drop night, and those happen only every 10 years in this universe, in this storyline. So it's kind of a big deal, and you do get some kind of like better cards that you don't have to buy and create your own deck with. These are just the deck, a bunch of cards that you just get, and you're just like already kind of ahead of the game. So then he gets into the, from there it just goes crazy gangster style where he's like fighting other gangs. He's getting into a gang war, all that now, all with the new powers of becoming a deck bearer. So he gets companions in a Cerberus kind of deck build. So, and he also companion cards is something new. But it's a very intense, keep running and gunning kind of story. And Wolf just doesn't find that he ever gets a break. So that's a little bit, I guess, a little bit about the story. He's just trying to keep his, be the best enforcer he can. trying to keep himself alive. He gets into it with this girl that wants to find out where her killer is, and he's just trying to do one good deed for his life of just kind of being someone that's terrible. And he's hoping that this can kind of, put him on the path of redemption. Lo and behold, this person is also a deck bearer that is going to help him take down the people that have, after he finds out who did it, killed her brother. And it's just a intense, keep on your toes story, especially with this particular writing. So yeah. Again, I have links in the description of this video if you want a better summary from the author. But let's go ahead and get into some of the pros that I have for this series, that if you would like this, hopefully you can jump on it. What I try to do with all these videos when I talk about a lit RPG book is get people excited about a new series, and hopefully they can pick it up and get into it, or they can pass on it because it's something that they're not interested in. So I hope to do one of those two things. Informed purchases and all that good stuff. I primarily love to listen to audiobook or listen to books. I do try to read them, but I imagine you can find this as if you prefer not to listen to it. But hey, the sound booth team does a great job with their audio narrations and their special effects. So you'd be missing out on that experience. But yeah, let's get into the pros. The pros for this series: Wolf is basically an enforcer for a gang known as the Grimm family. He is trying to stay alive, get back at people that have attacked the Grimm family and taken out people that he cares for and was close with. And now in this new kind of section in his life, he's a deck bearer, so that has changed things. He has more power. He can summon cards. He can gain experience. It's a lot for him to take in, and he has to do it by the seat of his pants. He is constantly just trying to put all the information that he has gathered over the years and just put that into practice, becoming a brand new deck bearer. Pros: this is an intense, keep moving storyline. It never stops. It is always going, so you never feel like there's a lull. Wolf is always going from his next assignment to his one assignment to another, and it's great. I love the pacing for the story. The card system that is introduced into this universe, into this story, is great. There are the great game rules, and you better know those being a deck bearer, because that can just make it, you get all this power, but if you don't understand the rules, then you're going to screw yourself over. And so throughout the entire story, you're learning more and more about the rules, and each time a new chapter comes up, there's another kind of reiterating some of the great games rules. And even through the story, Wolf talks about more of the great game rules. And it's interesting how it's intertwined into society, and because there was at a point in the story, he started talking about games based on the great game, and kind of training you and keeping you on top of your toes about card combinations and what is a good synergistic deck and what isn't, what you could be going for. And it's very interesting. It's I really like the deck building theme that some lit RPGs have. Another quick insert is a deck building lit RPG that you might enjoy is All the Skills. That is definitely a good deck building. But yeah, so again, and that's a pro for this too, being a deck building lit RPG. I love the deck building lit RPGs and can't get enough of them. So when I saw this, I was like, ooh, I really want to try this. I see some good narrators, and let's go ahead and just jump in after reading the summary and getting a little bit of do I want to do this or not? And it did not disappoint. I really enjoyed this series, and it was run and gun fighting, playing cards, playing this do or die game. It was very much like a for those that know about Yu-Gi-Oh, it's very okay, you're gonna, it's just, I don't know, it's like a run and gun Yu-Gi-Oh, and it's very intense, and it's just pretty cool. But the storyline is interesting. Characters that you come across are interesting. Other gang rivals, other decks that are played, people inside the Grimm family, the treachery and the kind of like high stakes that is always there and always permeated through this story is just very much like, you never get bored. You're always like, okay, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the new card? Oh, they took out this one deck bearer. They got all his cards. And now are they going to sell it, trade it? And then also there's pack pulling in this universe. When you go to dungeons and you complete it, you get packs. And then you go ahead and you can open up the packs. There's even a character that has a bonus to get better cards through opening this pack. I'm kind of nerding out here because I just love deck building RPGs. And with Gangster, Crime Family, and deck building, and getting stronger by defeating other players, other deck builders, deck holders. And it's very cool, and I just really enjoyed this series. But yeah, so this is definitely one that is just, I highly recommend. But there are some cons, and I do want to get into that, and some things that I do want to go ahead and say that might stop some people from getting into this series. Just stop getting into the series or be a little more informed when you get into this series. So let's go into, I guess, some of those cons. Some of those cons would be it is pretty gruesome. People, when people get shot and attacked and, killed in this series, it's kind of like, whoa, like, it's just fast. So if you aren't a real big fan of like, not too much gory details, but enough, that's like, it's something you just don't like in your stories, then that's another reason you might want to pass on this. There's a lot of cursing, but I mean, you kind of thought like, Gangster family, the enforcer, and what he does, it's kind of expected. So I'm glad that, that wasn't shied away from, because it would have been a very disingenuous story, kind of like not really, the everyday of an enforcer of a crime family, if it was kind of like, wasn't vulgar, I guess, in some parts, but nothing too crazy. And there are some scenes that are kind of like, you just be cautious of, kind of like be wary that there's going to be some scenes that are a little rough. And what else? Gruesome scenes, crime family shenanigans, things that, that I would just want to keep from those that are going to think this is going to be like just a fun card game. It's like, well, you can play cards in this card game, but then also you can pull out guns and other things that aren't specifically banned within playing this game. It's not like everything stops and you're like, oh, I played this card. Oh, you walked into my trap card. No, it's like you play a card, you're running, you pull your 9mm, take a couple shots, and you're just like, whoa, this is a very, very intense. But yeah, that's just some of the things I would say that just to keep a lookout for is, the violence, the language, and some just mature content scenes that don't really last long, but they're there. And so I would just want to say, like, just be wary of that stuff. And yeah, but if that doesn't really bother you and you can handle that kind of thing, again, this is a great series. Again, nothing is too grotesque that is kind of like, oh, I can't do it. But no, it's a pretty good series. Other than that, I just kind of wanted to talk about that stuff because I don't want someone to get blindsided. There was I remember someone recommending Dungeon Crawler Carl to somebody that was specifically like, I don't want to talk about suicide. I don't want to talk about heavy things. I want more of a fluffy story, and Dungeon Crawler Color was not it. So in this series, it's not too much of a fluffy. It's definitely not a fluffy series, but it is a good series, and it's one that I recommend, and is always kind of keeping you on the edge of your seat, and is action-packed and very intense, and you're just kind of like wondering what the next thing is and how the cards are going to integrate into the story to save our main character Wolf from not dying, and making sure he's avenging who needs to be avenged, taking out who needs to take out, and keeping those that are still around him safe. So yeah, it's a very, very good story, and one that I really enjoy. But yeah, so those are my pros, those are my cons. I hope you were enjoying kind of like what I was talking about. If not, then I'm glad I saved you some time that, you might not want to get into this, but At the time of this recording, there is already book 2. So if you go through book 1 and really enjoy it, then hey, jump on to book 2. I'll probably be jumping on to book 2 soon. But also at the time of this recording, the latest Dungeon Crawler Carl is coming out. And I also stumbled in on Marco the Fool. Everyone's talking about it. And I finally was like, you know what? The first book was heavily discounted, so off of Audible, so I went ahead and jumped on. I picked up the first book of Marco the Fool, which is narrated by Travis Baldree, and it's just like there's just too much good audiobooks right now that I just am trying to get into, and it's a good problem to have. It's a good problem to have, but yeah. So and yeah, just back to this book. It's such a great book. I think you would really enjoy it as long as you don't mind the violence and the language that I've kind of talked about earlier. I think this is a one that you would really enjoy. And Justin Thomas James does a fantastic job narrating Wolf, and I'm very it's really good. And Tiana does a great job as with all the female cast. I'm pretty sure she's all the female cast in this series, and Jeff Hayes isn't the main character. Jeff Hayes is a pretty prominent narrator, and but he kind of is like a character, a slimy kind of like character in the background. He's some other characters too, some side characters, but there's one like kind of like, you know, bigger main character that is kind of slimy, and he just does a really good job in bringing out that character's just like kind of grossness, and you're just like, oh, it's just no, but then yes, because you're doing a great job in voicing that character. So yeah, great book, really enjoy it. Hope you check it out. Again, link in the description of this video that will go ahead and bring you to Audible's page, and you can go ahead and read the the author's summary. And there's also the sample that Audible does, so you can listen to, I think, like 2 or 3 minutes of the audiobook that does it gives you a little taste of what you're kind of jumping into. So yeah, I hope this video was helpful, and I hope it was informative, and yeah, so I can't wait for you to check that out. Let me know in the comments what you're currently listening to right now. I've got a whole bunch of audiobooks that I'm kind of like picking and choosing. I really just like to do one audiobook and kind of like get into that audiobook until it's done, but recently I've started like 2 or 3 audiobooks. I've got Azrinth Healer, the 4th volume in that series. I've got Marco the Fool. I've got a space series. Oh gosh, I've got, now that I'm listing them out, I've got a lot that I'm just kind of picking through, but there's just some good audiobooks out there, especially in the lit RPG space. And yeah, just let me know what you're listening to right now. I'd love to know. So without further ado, I will let you go and talk to you guys later. Okay? Toodles!